I feel paralyzed.
You push through the massive crowds of Ile de la Cité. You take a stroll through the private courtyard of a villa in Le Marais. You watch friends die in the chaotic city streets of Le Ventre de Paris. The districts of Paris are worlds apart, but you're an assassin. You see every horrible and wonderful thing the city has to offer. In this chapter, we welcome to you to Paris, the assassin's Paris. Le Marais, unlimited luxury. Once the home of sacred religious institutions, Le Marais was transformed into a district of luxurious mansions for the city's rich and powerful. The only eyes watching the assassin are on the heads of marble statues. His target weaves through the winding pathway. The assassin follows his every move, pretending to admire the blossoming flowers and green leaves, which fall from the perfectly groomed trees common to Le Marais. As he walks, the assassin picks a flower off a bush and quietly crushes it in his hand. The nobles enjoy the gardens in blissful ignorance of the city's plight, but the assassin is here strictly on business. Ventre de Paris, streets of chaos. Over 1,100,000 French citizens were officially beggars by the start of the revolution. He blends in the crowd in Ventre Paris. It's a teeming mass of angry humanity. The mob screams for justice at the first scapegoat they find. Men push each other aside to grab the assassin's target. Women don't shield the violence from their children. They're all swept up in the outrage. Under the cover of chaos, looters break shop windows and steal bread. The assassin catches them do it, but he can't be everywhere at once. Ile de la Cité, call to the guillotine. In the late 1700s, the guillotine became France's primary method of public execution. It was designed to be more humane than France's other forms of capital punishment, like burning at the stake and the breaking wheel. He scales Notre Dame with the utmost precision. Any misstep would have been the assassin's last. He'd plummet hundreds of feet. Paris is old and fragile, just like this church. The infrastructures that hold it together are becoming weak. The revolution will shatter the establishment like a rock through stained glass. Off in the distance, the assassin watches soldiers march pointlessly through the fields of Les Invalides. Meanwhile, on the streets of Ile de la Cité below, unruly peasants gather around the guillotine in Paris. One misstep and it's your head that hits the ground. Years of bad harvests, a bankrupt government, and unfair tax system. These factors divided Paris into two groups, the powerful and the powerless. Nobles got to live lavishly and carefree at the expense of peasants and the middle class. Tensions were bound to boil over. In this chapter, we'll look at the inequality in Paris leading up to the revolution. There's greed, corruption, anger, and cluelessness on both sides. Only assassins hiding in plain sight saw conflict between the classes as inevitable. Out of sight, out of mind. He wasn't looking for a handout. He wasn't here to rob the place. The old man is confused and no doubt scared. Maybe he lost his family in the marketplace. Maybe he's no longer in his right mind. Whatever the reason, anyone can see this old man needs help. Will the gentleman give the old man a ride home? A consultation with the private physician? The unwritten crust of bread on the table? No, these soldiers will put him in jail, and that's if he's lucky. Two loaves of bread cost 97% of an average French worker's income, and a family of 4 needed at least 2 loaves of bread each day to survive. Up in flames. They heard a rumor the factory owner wants to lower prices by slashing wages. What he actually said: he wants to lower bread prices for everyone. His words were unintentionally twisted by the workers, who worry every day about ending up on the streets like so many people they know. A false rumor confirmed their deepest fear. This is why the workers formed a violent mob. This is why the factory will be dust and rubble by morning. In the Rebellion riots, workers destroyed Jean-Baptiste Rebellion's wallpaper factory, looted his home, raided his wine cellar, almost killed his family, and destroyed a second factory. Refugee of the Dam. Some of God's servants are still trying to do God's work. This elderly priest treks to the worst part of the city every day and attends to the sick and hungry. Unfortunately, no good deed goes unpunished in Paris. These thugs are looking to take advantage of the old man's generous nature. If God won't intervene to save him, perhaps someone else will have to. One punishment for violent criminals was breaking their legs, thighs, arms, and back, then placing them on wheels in public for gods to dispose of them. This is the story of French people during the Revolution. We're sorry to say, it does not have a happy ending. The road to the French Revolution was paved with good intentions: liberté, égalité, fraternité. Ultimately, the revolution brought tragedy to the brave souls who risked their lives on these ideals. In this chapter, we'll tell the story of how and why Parisians, peasants, and commoners rose up against the archaic class system that oppressed them and the crumbling monarchy who enforced this way of life. They changed the course of history forever, but when power corrupts the new leaders of the revolution, it's the French people who pay the ultimate price. Tearing down the walls. Tired of struggling with hunger, poverty, and the abuse of power, a group of revolutionaries formed the National Assembly to empower the working class and overthrow the corrupt aristocracy. Less than a month later, revolutionaries incited the French peasants to help and conquer the Bastille prison, a symbol of king's power. Contained within the Bastille was crucial gunpowder needed for the revolutionaries' rifle. The peasants got their first taste of blood at the Bastille. Almost 100 died in battle, but the people were relentless. They tore down the fortress brick by brick. They decapitated the prison's commander. To celebrate their victory, the liberators put his head on a pike and paraded it around town. The peasants armed themselves and began their revolution in earnest. Louis' guards were expecting a rescue team to help them defeat the mob. When the rescue team arrived, they decided to fight for the mob and turned the tide in favor of the peasants. No more kings. The people brought their king to justice, but whose justice did they serve? By dropping that blade, they thought they had killed the monster. Certainly, the revolutionaries beheaded an incompetent fool. When you take a monster's head, there's always the risk of something worse growing in its place. The National Convention was divided on whether to send King Louis into the guillotine. The order got to the bare minimum votes needed to pass. Death by revolution. The war is over, but the revolution rages on. The peasants rose up against the aristocracy, but now they slaughter each other out of fear and desperation. Lines were crossed, walls were torn down, and now it's impossible to know who is on what side. Assassins lurk in the shadows of Paris. They strike down the oppressors who survived the war, only to exploit and murder in the name of power. Assassins are the hidden blade that protects the people, the hidden blade that serves the strings of tyranny, so all can be free. The Committee of Public Safety, a major contributor to the violence of French Revolution, executed over 40,000 people in a single year, dubbed the Reign of Terror.